Underwater, Webbs couldn't hear the screams of dying dragons. Underwater, the battle was as far away as the 3 moons. Fire couldn't touch him, talons couldn't scar him, the blood washed away from his claws. Underwater, he was safe. Safe and a coward, still better than loyal, brave, and dead. Webbs shuddered awake. A catfish was staring at him blankly, its whiskery tendrils drifting in the current. The expression on its face said, "Why is this dragon sleeping on my river stones?" Webbs ate it, and that made him feel a little bit better. The Towns of Peace must know what happened to the dragonets by now, he thought. They have spies in the Skywing Palace. They don't need to hear it from me. The other towns did not need him to stand up in front of them and say, "We failed." But where could he go? He was already hiding from his own tribe, the Seawings. Did he have to hide from the Towns of Peace for the rest of his life as well? Webbs paddled to the surface of the river and cautiously poked his head out. It was dark, with the claws of the Clouds Mountains blocking most of the moonlight, like very shadowy teeth. He'd been swimming downriver for days. The Sky Kingdom was far away now. The Sky Kingdom and the 5 dragonets he'd sworn to protect. Webbs dragged his long, aching body out of the water and took 3 steps in the forest before he noticed a dark shape waiting for him. He spun around, but a new dragon loomed out of the river to block his escape. Black spiral patterns marked his green scales, and his teeth gleamed in the moonlight. "Webbs," said the other Seawing in a pleasant voice, "I thought you would never wake up." Webbs drew his talons through the riverbank mud. "Nutalis," he said. He hated the tremor of fear in his voice. "I have important news for the town." "You don't say," said Nutalis. "I suppose you got lost on your way to the usual meeting place?" "So we thought we might come find you," said one of the dark figures, in a voice like icicles dribbling. "Cyrus," Webbs thought. It was never a good sign when Cyrus the Icewing appeared. "The Skywings found our cave," Webbs said. "Just tell the truth. It's not your fault. And Queen Scarlet took the dragonets." "Yes," said Nutalis dryly. "We gathered that much from how she's practically been standing on the tallest mountain and shouting, 'I have the dragons of destiny. They're all mine.'" "Tell us everything," Cyrus hissed. "How did they find you?" "Well," Webb said slowly, "it started when 2 of the dragonets tried to run away. Maybe 3. He wasn't sure where Goy had been on that night. He could only find Starflight and Sunny, but he knew she couldn't have gone into the river with Tsunami and Clay." "Why would they run away?" Nutalis asked sharply. "What did you do to them?" Webb felt his gills flare. "We kept them alive," he snarled, "and trapped them on the ground and chained Tsunami and planned to kill Glory because she wasn't part of the prophecy, but what other choice did we have?" "Surely you caught the runaways and brought them back," said a voice in the shadows. Webbs recognized the crocodile, and a mudwing new to the Towns of Peace. His hopes rose. In his few meetings with her, she'd been sympathetic. Perhaps he had one ally here. Webb said. "No, not exactly. They kind of came back on their own to get the others." He cleared his throat. "We weren't expecting that. Kestrel thought they had long gone as soon as they hit the sky." "Sounds as if they felt like prisoners," Nutalis said in a soft hiss. "You told us to keep them underground," Webbs protested. "That was a decision made by all the Talons." "But we wanted them agreeable, not rebellious," said Nutalis. "That was the entire point, wasn't it?" A murmur went around the circle of dragons. There were 7, including Nutalis, as far as Webbs could tell. He wondered if he could fight his way past 7 dragons. "It wasn't our fault," he murmured. "Maybe there's something wrong with them." "What does this have to do with the Skywings?" Cyrus hissed. "The Skywings followed Queen Snowy back to the cave," Webbs explained. "That's how Queen Scarlet found us. We tried to fight back. But she killed Dune and took Kestrel along with the dragonets." "Will she make them fight in the arena?" asked Crocodile. "Can they win?" "They're only dragonets," Cyrus growled. "Of course they won't survive the arena." "Surely she'll spare the Skywing at least," Crocodile said. Webbs flinched. He had never been brave enough to confess to the Towns of Peace that they'd lost their Skywing dragonet and replaced it with a rained wing. But now the dragonets were out in the world. Everyone would know soon. "You know what Queen Scarlet did to all the Skywing dragonets who hatched on the brightest night," Cyrus says. "Mercy is not exactly her nature." Webbs raised his head and looked around at the eyes that glittered in the dark. "Can't we go get them?" he asked. "Maybe if all the towns attacked at once." Who was he kidding? He wasn't about to go rushing into the Skywing Palace to die, and he was closer to the dragonets than any of the Talons, who hadn't even met them. "All the Talons," Cyrus hissed. 40 dragons against the 100 Skywing Palace guards. A brilliant plan. No wonder we left the dragonets in your capable claws. A suicide mission may not be necessary, Nutella said. Something happened in the Skywing Palace yesterday. We don't have a clear report yet, but one spy says he thought Queen Scarlet was dead, killed by the dragonets. Webbs flared his wings in surprise. By my dragonets? He asked. Maybe they have a talent of escaping, Nutella said, although another spy was sure they all died trying to fight their way out. Webb's stomach felt as if it was full of poisonous jellyfish. The dragonets couldn't be dead, not after all he'd given up for the sake of the prophecy and to save his own scales. A small voice whispered inside of his head. If they are loose in Pyrea, how do you suggest we find them? Nutella asked. Non-suicidal suggestions only, please. Well, for us. You may feel free to kill yourself whenever it is convenient. I don't know, Webbs admitted. He had no idea where the dragonets might go. He didn't understand why they wanted to be on their own, cut off from their protectors. The worst 10 days of his life were the ones between the battle where he had abandoned his queen and the day the towns had found him, alone with no tribe to support them and no towns to protect them. How would the dragonets survive? If we can't get the dragonets back, Natalis mustard, I suppose we'll have to consider our backup plan. He scratched his gills thoroughly. What backup plan? Webbs asked. The one you don't get to know about, Cyrus said. But we have to get them back, Webbs said. They're the dragonets. They're the only ones who can stop the war. Have a little faith in the prophecy, Webbs, Nutella said. Yes, don't worry, Crocodile said reassuringly. The towns of peace won't put all their eggs in one nest. It's a good backup plan. Webbs looked from one shadowed face to the next. Apart from Crocodile, he saw nothing friendly in the eyes staring at him. I don't understand, he said. Was there another prophecy I didn't know about? Of course, Nutella said. That means you would be a problem. Webbs barely had time to say what before Cyrus was suddenly on his back, pinning him to the ground. His wounds from the Skywing soldiers flared up with a bright new pain. One wing was twisted behind him, and he could feel the ice wing's serrated claws digging into his scales. What are you doing? Webbs yelled. I'm one of you. I've been the talent of peace for 7 years, and you failed us, Cyrus hissed. Now, Nutella said, then paused. No, that's not fair. I'm going to dig your heart out and feed it to the fish, Cyrus growled. Won't that be ironic? Webbs thought gloomily at the fish he'd just eaten. But we're the dragons of peace, he said, his teeth gritting with pain. If we kill each other, aren't we as bad as burn and blister and blaze? Sorry, Webbs, Nutella said. Peace is more important than any one dragon, and you would disrupt our backup plan. We're doing this for your own good, for the prophecy, for peace. Webbs heard that horrible echo of his own voice, the same thing he said to the dragonets whenever they complained about life on their mountain. It's for your own good. Peace is more important. He believed it when he said it. No doubt Nutella did too. Nutella gestured with one talon. Cyrus ripped out his heart. The jaws of the ice wing sprang open, and Cyrus flung Webbs down on his back. His icicle-sharp claws flexed, ready to tear Webb's underbelly. Suddenly, Crocodile cannoned into him, knocking Cyrus into the undergrowth. Webbs didn't hesitate. He flapped upright and shot into the sky as fast as his wings would carry him. He heard shouts as Crocodile struck out at the dragons around her, and he felt a stab of guilt. Should he stay and help her fight? But why go back for death when he had a chance to live? He heard wing beats behind him and flew harder. He imagined Cyrus breathing down his tail, or Nutella's hissing closer and closer. But it was Crocodile's voice who called him. Fly, Webbs, she cried. I've knocked them out. They didn't see that coming. Thank you, Webbs called back, twisting to see her heavy brown shape soaring behind him. Where will you hide? She asked. He shook his head. I have no idea. I've heard there's a dragon jade mountain in You should go home, she said, tilting her wings to swoop under him. From what I hear, Queen Coral's in a merciful mood these days. The thrill that ran through Webbs from horn to tail nearly took his breath away. Home? Back to the sea? After all these years? Is it possible? She'll never forgive me, not after everything I did, he said. It's not just that I deserted her during the battle. She must know I was the one who stole her egg from the prophecy. You must be surprised, said Crocodile. Isn't she supposed to be one of the greatest queens in history? That's what all the ski-wing scrolls say. Perhaps she'll forgive you. Why not take that chance, if it means you can go home again? Webbs was silent. One of the moons was rising, shimmering off his blue-green scales. From up here, he could see the ocean far off in the distance, but it seemed to be unreachable as the moon itself. Up to you, Crocodile said, backing away from him. I'm just telling you what I've heard. Good luck either way. Good luck to you too, Webbs called. She vanished into the trees, and he wondered where she would go now. He missed the sea with every scale in his body. He missed the palace, the currents, the whale songs, the feasts, the gardens, the other sea wings. If the towns are done with me, if I promised her I'll be brave this time, maybe I can go home again.